Hi everyone, Tracy here from Dropout Yoga. I'm starting a new series of restorative practices and classes. It's called They're Brave and Exhausted. So I hope that you have some time in your day to just slow down, to breathe, and to truly be with yourself in all of the craziness, both in and outwardly from the body, how we can just be with ourselves. And I think that's a superpower. So today, since we are doing slower restorative poses, you'll need some props. So even though I do have a yoga bolster, you can use a pillow, and I just like using a pillow. So you can always grab one of those. You'll also want a blanket, and if you have 2 blocks, that's great. If you have some stacks of books instead, that's fine. If you, at the end of class, would like to have some eye coverage, an eye mask, and you're always welcome to have a second pillow, especially for some of the forward folds if you know you have really tight hamstrings or hips. So the first pose we'll do is a version of child's pose, and that's just really to allow us to sink into the practice. One more thing I do want to note is a few times throughout class, I'll make a humming sound on an exhale. For me personally, when I do restorative yoga, I like to hum once in a while, just to remind myself to come back to my body, especially if my mind has drifted away. And you are welcome to hum along, or you can not. So go ahead and find your pillow and your blanket. So the pillow will be down in front of you. And if you have really tight hips, you're going to maybe take that blanket and you could tuck it between the hips and the heels a little bit. There's just a little cushiony there. Don't mind my cracky knees. So knees can be wide or closer together. And then all we'll do is simply begin to rest the forehead down. And if it's not comfortable for the forehead and nose to rest, you're welcome to also turn. And I'll prompt you to turn your head the opposite direction after a little bit of time. And you can kind of hold the top of the pillow or tuck the hands underneath. Maybe as you just start here, you can shift your hips a little bit from side to side. And then allowing the hips to soften towards the heels. Closing the eyes if it's comfortable. Starting to notice what parts of your body move as you inhale and as you exhale. And allowing the body and the breath to slow down. Maybe the mind follows. If you have your head turned one way, go ahead and turn it the other way. Part the lips, take a full breath in your nose, and sigh. And when you're ready, let's start to unwind the hands. Come on to hands and knees for just a breath or two. If you don't want to be on your wrists, you can always have your forearms on your pillow or bolster. Take a few rounds of cat-cow. Take them slow as you inhale, let your heart and hips lift. Exhale, press and round into the spine. Exhale, round in. Come back through a neutral spine. And then sit the hips back. So we'll do a twist using the blanket and the pillow. So what we'll do is you'll have your right hip attached towards the pillow. And if you have a very long torso or you're tall, you could either take a block or a second pillow. In this case, I have a meditation pillow, but you could put that on the top towards the front or a block for your head. So we'll come into a twist, and it can be nice just to use the blanket as a blanket and to cover yourself. Make sure you feel warm, comfortable, supported. So your right hip is attached to the pillow. And before you lay down, you really want to think about letting this right shoulder turn back towards the feet. And we're twisting into the spine. And then you'll begin to walk the hands down, still twisting. Keep moving that right shoulder back until the belly and the chest and the head rest. Now options, the gaze could be turned, or it can go the same direction as the spine. I prefer the same direction as the spine, a little bit less twist in the neck, just so I can fully relax. But you do you. So let your head rest on either the pillow or the second pillow. And you can hold the sides of the pillow if you want. Maybe cover yourself a little bit more with a blanket. What I really want you to feel is support. Allow the whole weight of your head and your heart and your belly to soften and to rest. Feel the mat and all the support systems holding you so that you can simply breathe. See if you can let a little bit more weight return towards the support and the ground. Softening the tongue and the jaw, space between the brows. Start to come back to your breath. When you're ready, be very slow and gentle as you begin to press yourself slowly back up. Before we switch to the other side, go ahead and come on to the hands and knees. Maybe come straight into a cat, just pressing round into the spine. Back through a neutral spine. Sink the hips back for a breath. Just come into a child's pose. Part the lips, take a full breath in the nose. And sigh. When you're ready, we'll shift now. And the left hip will attach towards the pillow or bolster. It's the same idea here. So you want to let this left shoulder turn towards the back of the mat. So you're getting this nice twist into the spine. And you gently try to stay in that twist. No forcing, no pulling. Just a conversation with your body to see what it wants to be like today until you lay down. Once again, you can go for the deeper twist into the spine or a little bit less so. I would do what just naturally comes first. Make sure you feel comfortable. There's no point in doing this if you're not comfortable. Relax your fingers, relax your toes. Be here about 3 more breaths. And when you're ready, be gentle and slow as you start to press back up. Once again, you can pivot onto your knees, go straight into a cat, just let the spine round, a neutral spine. Go ahead and put the hips down on the heels, just bring the torso upright. Notice what you notice. We'll do some rounds of forward folding. Now these in particular are when, if the low back is very tight or if the hamstrings are tight, you'll round into your low back and you won't be able to fully relax because the back will be tight. So this is where it's nice to use the props in the ways that you need. So it could be a blanket or it could be a second pillow in the forward fold, because this first pillow we're going to use for the backs of the knees. So say this was my second pillow, I could sit on it, and that's just going to give a little tilt of my pelvis. And then the second pillow is on the backs of my knees, and it's going to make my knees be a little bit bent so that my hamstrings aren't contracted. And we're gonna cover ourselves with the blankie. It looks kind of silly, but it's sweet. So once you decide whether you're sitting on a pillow or not, and you have that other pillow for the backs of the knees, you can take the blanket, and as you drape forward, you're trying to let your belly rest on your thighs. So if your knees aren't bent enough, then you can kind of bend your own pillow a little bit. And so you have more support there, and then you can soften. And my belly isn't going to touch my thighs today. I'm pretty tight. So I might use a block between my knees or a book. So when I lay down, I let my head rest, and it could be on low, medium, or high. I think I need high. Yeah, that's better. So once you decide, you're going to take this blankie and see if you can cover yourself. Peekaboo. But make sure that you feel supported and there's not pulling in the low back. If there's pulling in the low back, probably you need to have your knees a little bit more bent. So find a way to use your pillow or your blocks to let your knees be bent. We won't be here long. Smooth, even, supple breaths in and out through the nose. It's almost like you're in a cocoon. This place where no one needs anything from you, and you don't need anything from anyone. Return to your breath. Slowly rolling back into your seat. Wrap your arms around yourself, give yourself a hug. Slowing down enough to notice the subtle shifts. Gently open your eyes, release your arms. So we'll do one wide-legged fold before we come onto our backs for our final pose. So go ahead and move the pillow out of the way. You could stay seated on the second pillow or not. You're going to put the soles of your feet together and your knees apart. Now we're going for a diamond shape. You don't need the heels close to the hips. And again, lots of different ways to do this as we fold forward. You might use that blanket. It can be also good to use a block or some books to make it a little bit higher in case you can't quite fold all the way over. But before we do that, go ahead and put your hands on your shins in a couple seated cat-cows. So inhale, let your heart lift. And as you exhale, press and round the shoulders back. Go ahead and do 2 more like that. And 1 more like that. Now, when you're ready, allow yourself to fold towards the pillow. And if you don't quite make it, you're using a block. I also will stack my palms. Again, we're not going to be here long. Just a little release for the outer thigh and the groin. And if a part of your body is very light and is saying hello to you, maybe ask yourself, what resources do I have to make this lighter and softer? Consider the breath. Consider non-judgment and non-attachment. One more breath. Slowly lift. And we're going to come into our final pose for Shavasana. And you're going to have a few different options here. So you're going to come off of that second support if you're using it. You can put it to the side. Now if you have 2 blocks or books that are the same height, you can do this. Otherwise, you'll only use the pillow, and I'll give you options for that too. This is called Stonehenge. Heard that from Margie Young, a wonderful Bay Area teacher. So you put blocks where your feet would be. I like them on medium. And then you just stack your pillow on top. Now, if you don't have those 2 blocks, that's fine too. It's just a different pose. I'll show both. So if you're doing Stonehenge, then you have your pillow on top, make sure it's supported. And then it's just a little inversion for the legs. When you lay down, you want the calves to be on the blanket, or on the pillow. You're holding a blanket. So when you lay down, you just have a little lift there. And you could choose, I really like to have a blanket over my pelvis. I like that type of grounding. And you could use an eye mask or some little piece of fabric, and this could be you. If you don't have the blocks, it's no big deal. We just use this pillow for the backs of the knees, and you might give it a little fold, like a pyramid for the knees. And the same options here. You could cover yourself with the blanket. You could have it on the pelvis. And when you're there, you're there. It's this perfect feeling of arrival. Just going, oh, yes, I'm so brave. I do the work. I show up for myself and my partner and my family and my friends. I show up for people that don't even know me. And I'm exhausted. And taking this time just to show up for yourself. Shoulders, head, hips heavy. Easy rise of the chest as you inhale. Softness of the belly as you exhale. Start to come back by hearing the sounds around you. Feeling your body move as you inhale and as you exhale. Movement of the fingers and the toes. As you bend your knees, you can put your feet on your support. Rolling onto onto a side, whichever one feels best. And when you're ready, returning back to a seat. Eyes can be opened, closed. Hands on the thighs, just resting another moment or two. Let's all take a full breath in and out. Thank you for joining me today. Be well.